That's like saying, all right, now back to bad guy. Give him a name, make him something better.
Some call him Tim.
Tim. He looks like Tim. All right, this is the third huge part of episode 4 of the Rings of Power season 2. We've gone through the elves and their scene and the amazing Barrow Wights and the inanity of what happens in the final scene with those. We've gone through the appearance of the Ents and the small mudworm of Pelargir that swallows things whole, though it has these antlery teeth. And okay, anyway. Oh, and Mudlove. We learned about Mudlove. That was all on you, Michael.
Mud romance. Yep,
Mud
that's
romance.
the new kind of. It's the new kind of romance.
Romance built on lies and dirt. Which are kind of the same thing.
Oh, that's good.
This episode we're going to be getting into Rhun, which has kind of 3 parts in and of itself, but we will go through chronologically how they portray all this. And the biggest part, obviously, is going to be Tom Bombadil. Before I jump into that, hey, if you like us, give us a like. I got to talk right. Give us a can I say this right? Subscribe. Click the bell, do all that stuff. I don't say this a lot like all those other YouTube guys because we do podcasts and I don't think about it. But yeah, like, subscribe. It'll get more people to actually read Tolkien. And you can follow our podcast, Exploring Tolkien, and find that on any podcast app, or just look it up on any browser. Just look up Exploring Tolkien and you'll find our podcast. You can also become a member, get the extended podcast for $4 a month. Get our huge, well, it's not huge. We've got a good amount of members, but not all of them join Discord. But we've got I think like 75 now in our Discord chat, and so some hardcore Tolkien fans. There's some good discussions going on. Join theonering.com/member. Get access to our Discord. Get our extended podcasts, which come out once a week when the Rings of Power is not taking all of our time up. Since this is something that Michael and I do because we have loved Tolkien since first reading it. Michael at 8 years old, and me at I think 11 years old. Weren't you 8 or 7 or something like that?
8.
First grade, 8, yeah. And I was 12, I believe. So anyway, been running theonering.com for 25 years, and now we're enjoying this one as our kids are getting a little bit older, and we have the time that we want to do this. So anyway, all right. So we're jumping into this, the Rings of Power, and the episode where we get to meet perhaps the worst rendition of one of Tolkien's character, even worse than Galadriel. Is that possible?
No, it's not. Oh, no, it's not worse than Galadriel.
Okay,
not worse than Galadriel.
All right, we'll jump into that. So it starts off with the stranger walking through the deep, high noon light.
Can I just say at the beginning here, Jonathan, how utterly stupid it is. Well, I'm going to say it anyway. How utterly stupid it is that they're still not going to tell us what his name is. It's
that we have to go through, what is it, 12 episodes now? Dumb. And he still doesn't have a name. And he's still in the same tarpy clothes that he's been in from the beginning. Okay,
bathrobe.
So he's in the bathroom. He stumbles on a goat and he's like, oh, hello, goat. Have you been separated from the sheep? No, he doesn't say that. So he follows the goat because you need something to follow. You can't actually have plot do this. So it's, again, as Michael likes to say, because Michael is our resident wordsmith here when it comes to creating new names like Dirty Little Sociopaths, who we will get to. This is the dumbest ex machina at work. He just is kind of walking and he sees the goat, so he follows the goat, right? He needs a thing to follow. He goes in and he meets up with the least merry Tom Bombadil possible.
Right. Tom Bombadil. We're introduced, and Tom Bombadil's entire personality in Tolkien's world is based on the fact that he is frivolous, doesn't care about people outside of him.
Yep.
He is cheerful and a creature. He's a good creature, and he is lord of his realm. Okay, so they get the lord of his realm part, but everything else, he's merry and happy. He has so much joy in him. Tom Bombadil, singing all the time. This Tom Bombadil is snarky, slightly malicious, like he leads Gandalf to be swallowed by the tree, because he's in control of the breeze that blows Gandalf's little piece away. Where Gandalf does the zombie like Gandalf, following the note floating through the air. But this Tom Bombadil is not happy. He's got red cheeks. They got that right. Look, those cheeks are kind of reddish.
Yeah,
sure. But he actually comes across as more world weary, jaded. This is the exact opposite of Tom Bombadil. Exact opposite of Tolkien's character.
They had a choice, the choice to put Tom Bombadil was a mistake. But the very first thing, do you remember what the very first thing Tom Bombadil says here that we hear him say? He's singing under his breath, which is really dumb because he wouldn't be singing under his breath. The hobbits could hear him off in the distance singing along the path through the old forest.
Does he say "Hey Dole, Mary Dole"?
I don't remember. Yeah, no. His first words is "I see you found the goat." That's what we hear him say. I see.
Well, no, he's singing "Hey Dole, Mary Dole" under his breath, and then Gandalf walks up. But you're right. The first direct line to Gandalf is "I see you found the goat." Yeah,
but the "Hey Dole, Mary Dole" is very much under his breath. It's not clear that he's like actually singing. He's just sort of. It's like that earworm you have stuck in your hand. Yeah. It's. He's not jolly. He's not merry. He's not what Tom Bombadil's supposed to be. And like you said, he's a little jaded. He's weary. He's tired. And as we find out, he's vindictive or something because he leads him to as I first tried to name him, I was like, oh, this is Old Man Joshua Tree. That's all I can think of. But the map that he's holding is like Michael said, right? It's blown out of his hands. He's following it. It's okay. I played Assassin's Creed. Oh, what was it? It was like 11 years ago. It was the one in America. Anyway, you had to catch what was that one called? Assassin's Creed 3, I think that's all it was called. You had to catch. There was one of the quests was like, oh, there are these the Benjamin Franklin's notebook papers are lost, and you have to go find them. And when you come upon it, the little quest is like you have to go like use your parkouring to jump around and catch it as it's flying away from you. That's exactly what this felt like. This is an Assassin's Creed assassin trying to catch a piece of paper flying. Oh, catch it!
Except he's no Assassin's Creed. It's a zombie. He's like his hands are out. He's like must get my piece of paper.
And then he has a revelation.
Old Man Ironwood, apparently.
Old Man Ironwood. And he has a revelation that, oh yes, of course it's wood. That's what I need, I guess. The staff, is that what he's saying? Like, oh, of course, wood.
Yes, yes. I've never seen wood. I never considered my staff could be made of wood. That's fascinating.
So let's talk about.
Remember his foot caught in roots, because that's literally what happens to the hobbits. The first thing they find is that their foot is trapped in roots. That's in the Lord of the Rings, in the Fellowship of the Ring. And then remember the tree swallowing people. Remember?
Yeah.
All right, go for it.
Let's make it clear that a malicious tree is not there because of Tom Bombadil. It's there because of the Old Forest and the things that the Old Forest, the evil, where you could say they were like some even less than horns or something like that. There is an evil in the world. It doesn't follow Tom Bombadil around, and that's what they make this feel like. It's like, oh well, we have Tom Bombadil, we've got to have Old Man something. Ironwood. Yeah. We got to name
Old
it.
Man.
And so again, this is just that member watermelon that we talked about, where it's just so huge that they can't get away from it. They didn't have to introduce Tom Bombadil in the exact same way that they did in The Lord of the Rings. They should have done something different and said, okay, we're going to make this our own. But no, the problem is they're calling back to the books, which means that we criticize them based on what they're doing with this directly from the books. And it's not like where Peter Jackson in the extended edition of The Two Towers, he added Old Man Willow in Fangor's home. Oh, what's it called? It doesn't anyway, where the hobbits are left, where Merry and Pippin are left, and they drink the water and they get taller. There's a name for his home, right?
It'll come to me. Hold on.
Anyway, so
Welling Hall.
Thank you. Yes. So Peter Jackson put that in there as sort of a nod to the fans. But it wasn't like it was Treebeard saying it. We knew Tom Bombadil wasn't going to be in it. The movie had already been established. We're going to put this in there, and he filmed it, and I thought that was kind of a cool thing. I'm like, that's fine. But here it is such a carbon copy. Like it's the worst kind of purple carbon copy you got in elementary school. At least I did, where you couldn't quite make out the letters and it was unclear, right? Because it's not the same thing, right? It's like you said, it's like, as we'll learn, it's sort of like he's in control of the tree, and it's disappointing. Okay, anything else to say?
And he sent Gandalf to be swallowed by, or not Gandalf to be swallowed by Old Man Ironwood. So he gets swallowed because remember the hobbits getting swallowed. Right.
Oh, and so speaking of the hobbits getting swallowed, sadly, we thought the hobbits had somehow died from the tornado.
By the way, can't not Gandalf just blow the tree up? Because that's what he does all the time. He's blowing trees up all the time with his magic.
That's a really good point.
He thinks he's about to die. So why wouldn't he just use his magic to get out of there? Anyway,
stop thinking.
Yeah. So apparently,
nothing dies.
Nothing dies. No, that's not true. That's not true. We find out later. That the evil masked men of the desert, the lepers of the desert, they had 2 men die from the sandstorm. So the sandstorm, because we're told 2 of my men were killed by so the sandstorm blew against some men on horses and killed 2 of them.
Full-size men,
but it threw hobbits 100 feet up in the air and carried them far away, and they fall, and they not only
into a stony ravine.
They get flung into a ravine from 100 feet or more feet up, and they aren't even bruised. There's no broken bones. There's no death. There's no bruises. I don't think there's scratches. There's no scratches. These people are so stupid, or they think we are so stupid.
It is a comedy. It is a comedy now. This is what comedies do. This is Looney Tunes, right? You survive everything and anything. Isildur survives somehow, and the thing is, they won't tell us. At least they'll put a bump on Tom's head when Jerry drops an anvil, or the coyote's head when the Roadrunner drops an anvil on his head or something like that. He gets a big red bump. These guys got nothing. Isildur had no mark, no scratch, no cloth on his body burned at all whatsoever. Same thing with what's her face? Like she got injured. Muriel got injured, but she got blinded at all.
She wasn't burned. Galadriel took a full pyroclastic blast to the face.
That entire city did, and pretty much everybody survived.
Well, lots of people died, but not Galadriel. She wasn't even burned. Her hair wasn't even singed.
Halbrand and Galadriel was stuck in the middle of the ocean and miraculously saved. Right? They that too. Like that was amazing. They were no worse for the wear there. Galadriel swam across.
Estrid gets full force.
Oh yes, by the Ents,
and her body slammed against rock. She went flying through the air. She shattered. She's dead. Every bone was broken. She's flattened. She's an X-person. Not only is she not an X-person, she doesn't even have a bruise or a break or any injury.
Let's not forget Isildur and Arondir were swallowed by the antler worm thing and didn't have any injury yet. Not even a scratch. They weren't chewed. They were swallowed. I don't know, like a water slide.
They didn't get burned from the stomach acid inside or anything? Nope.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's a moving sarlacc that takes it over 1,000 years, and you could be fine if you're only in there for 30 seconds. Okay, so they survive, sadly. With the hope springs eternal. They survive. Poppy is there, and they see the trackers, the world's Middle-earth's worst trackers. So what happens? They run down, jump off a cliff, and of course, the unexpected happens, that some other dude just happens to find them that's important to the story.
Yep. A person with worse hair than them.
And what's his name? Because they can't think of anything else. It's Merrimack. Which I believe was, I had to look it up. I think it was Mary's uncle, I want to say. His actual name was Merrimack.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, so they also come up with the name Rory Mac, which was, I think, Frodo's first. Was that Frodo's father? I can't remember now. All these names, guys. I don't read the Lord of the Rings to remember all the names.
But they have this conversation with Merrimack that and different version of a DLS. But it's like an 8-year-old conversation, and they're like trying to ship him and Poppy now, like within seconds. Like all of a sudden they're falling for each other. They're so attracted. And Nori's like, what's going on? She's looking at, like, this is a show written by teenagers. So
they just decide to follow him, even though he doesn't want them to follow him. I thought of him, he's kind of becoming the Pippin of the bunch. Maybe he'll join them and be sort of the dumb one that just like Peter Jackson made. Sort of. I mean, not super dumb. but not just dumb, like autistically. Like he seems to have sort of like learning disabilities. And he says, "You can't talk to her. Don't look her in the eyes." And there are 4 rules, and he only mentions 3 of them. They're like such an amateurish way of trying to make somebody look stupid. And
well, it's not even that. Like his rules are 1, B, and 4. I mean, it's just
he said B.
He said
Sorry,
B.
I was watching this while my kid was doing his soccer practice, and I was watching on my phone in the car trying to like get through it. And I don't remember that.
He says 1, B, 4.
Why is that? What is that? Isn't there another movie that does that?
Yeah,
like
it's when they're trying to make. I don't remember the movie, but it's done a couple times when they're trying to make people really, really stupid, like an Idiocracy type.
And first of all,
type movie.
B means they have an alphabet: A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Right.
What?
And also he got to 4, and then later on he says, "Oh, that was the 4th reason." The 4th reason. If he got to 4, then why would he think that he was missing a rule? But anyway, so he gives rules that are basically like, don't mock Happy Fun Ball. That's the sorry, that's an old Saturday Night Live joke.
Yeah. But the Happy Fun Ball, I remember that. Yeah.
Yes, and it has a whole list of disclaimers about Happy Fun Ball, how it might basically destroy everything that you love. And then one of the last lines is, "Do not mock Happy Fun Ball."
So they arrive at this village. This has got to be the most obvious set-looking scene I have seen in years on television. This is going back to like Land of the Lost. Remember that?
Right. This is 1950s B movie stuff. Like this is how fake their caves look.
So guys, okay, I'm going to. I used to have passes to Disneyland back in the day when it was actually fun and relatively.
Tom Sawyer's Island.
This is what we would, my friends and I, we would go, look, it's Disney Stone. It's like, you've got granite, you've got limestone, and you've got Disney Stone. This is the stuff they used to make like Splash Mountain, R.I.P., Tom Sawyer's Island, the Matterhorn. This is exactly what it looks like, where you hire some construction guys to create a mountain for you. It's so bad, and the lighting is so ambiently weird. Like the sun is shining brightly. Let's go back just a bit here. Look at that light difference, right? Look at how obvious there is such brightness here, and then you get into the town and it is so dim. There's nothing bright. It's all ambient light. They couldn't even get that right. That's what, like in special effects, you got to get the lighting right. They couldn't do that technically here at all. It's all
it looks like a video. It looks like a bad video game is what it looks like.
But this is a big set. I'm pretty sure this is a big set. It's not even like they put all this into digital. No.
It's a real set.
Okay, no,
real fake, but it's a real set.
All right. So they meet the Stoors, these people who are immediately just like the Ents, the Southland. Everybody is unwelcoming, and she puts them in a cage. She's like, "Nope, you're not allowed to look me in the eye, I guess." And
first of all, they're breaking all the regular rules. And Nori says tells everyone what her motivation is. She says, when push comes to shove, she said, "I traveled all this way to help my friend find his destiny, and the fate of the world might depend on it." Where do we get this from? Like, how did she? She doesn't know about any of the other stuff. She doesn't know who Sauron is. She doesn't know anything.
Right. And she, the thing, like she says, he's a wizard. And so they just tie her up. They don't ask her any other questions. They just said, he's a wizard. Oh, they just tie her up.
Also, why do they tie up their own person?
Because he led them there? I don't know. Because they're
tying them up to like die of exposure. That's their I mean, look, at least the funniest line from there. We're gonna later get to the funniest line from this, which is
here's the thing. We know hobbits, the very little sociopaths, are indeed perhaps the cruelest creatures in all of Middle-earth.
That's right.
Since these hobbits cannot leave them on the side of the road when they're doing it, they actually have to push them off out of their home and let them die, because they can't just leave them. They actually have to push them away. So that's why they're tied up and set apart.
And then later on, to finish up this, we're not going to finish it yet. We're going to go to the rest. Okay.
So we get back to another nameless wizard, because who gives these characters names? Nobody. He's just called the Dark Wizard. That's like saying, all right, now back to bad guy.
That's right.
It's like dark. He's a dark wizard. Like, give him a name. Make him something better.
Some call him Tim.
Tim. He looks like Tim. He totally looks like Tim. Doesn't he? The big beard. Doesn't Tim have big beard and googly eyes?
He has a long beard and googly eyes.
Okay,
and,
Michael,
and
explain who Tim is.
Tim is from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and in that one of the most hilarious parodies and satires of all time. It's a story-ish of King Arthur and his knights, and King Arthur and his knights are marching across the land, except they don't have horses. They have coconuts. They make coconut clapping sounds. And they come across an enchanter up on a ridge, and he's just randomly gesturing to places, and things will explode. And then all of a sudden he explodes and then appears in front of them. There he is. And they ask him his name, and he looks at them and he says, "Some call me Tim."
Oh, it's so great. And look, like what's funny, it's the black and the white. That's what made me think about it when you said that. The black beard with the white, right. And he's got same. Oh, shoot, I just lost my spot here. But same thing. He's got a black beard and a white mustache. The exact same
thing.
Tim. It's Tim the sorcerer. Oh my goodness, what a disaster. What a freaking disaster this show is.
Well, and we had to learn from a previous from the discussion about. Oh, I guess we haven't got there yet. All right, so we're about to learn the origin of who this dark wizard is.
So the tracker, the greatest trackers in all of Rhun have returned to the dark wizard and says, "Oh, we lost him. Two of my guys died. You lost him." And the wizard's response, he's like, "I will go get the Star. It's on me." I'm like, "Well, dude, that didn't exactly work. What are you going to do now? Like, threaten him again?" Because his big plan was, I'm going to threaten the hobbits and then he'll surrender to me. He's like, okay, now that you've seen his power, he's like, no, I'm going to get him. It's going to be okay. And
and he says he went to the hermit. They call Tom Bombadil a hermit.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, but that doesn't give him a plan.
It's even worse for him because it turns out that he was taught by Tom Bombadil.
Oh, as we learn later. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but here's the funny thing. I love that the wizard's big line. This is one of those lines. Okay. I hate the line. I watch football. I love football. Grew up in Pittsburgh, big Steelers fan. When an announcer says he's as good as anybody in the NFL, I'm like, what does that even mean? He's as good as anybody. It's sort of like saying this line that the wizard said is like, you are either very foolish or very brave. Like, what does that even mean? Are you dumb enough to not know whether he's brave or foolish? Like, this is one of the most hackneyed lines in order to try and make somebody sound brave, I guess, because he's so foolish. It's brave. It doesn't, like, I hate that phrase. I hate it so much because I hear it so much, and yet they stick it in here. And this dark wizard who has not done anything yet. He has not shown any powers. He's not threatening. He doesn't care about what happens to his people. He doesn't have any abilities that we have seen. He hasn't even lifted a fork with food to his mouth. We don't know that. He's done nothing other than sit in this chair for 2 freaking episodes telling us he's big and bad and he's dark. He's Mr. Bad Guy of the show.
His name is Dark Wizard. Come on, Jonathan.
His Dark Wizard. So he says, no, leave the Istar to me. That's where we leave it here. That's
and we get a look. We get Femine's look.
Okay. All right. So back to Bombadil. Bombadil says the exact same lines from the Lord of the Rings. Dig deep.
The old forest. Yeah, in the old forest. He says, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's gonna have to dig real deep to get to water around here, I guess.
So he loves the tree. He's like, oh, this is my place. I brought you with me as a sapling, old man of the iron wood, and I'll bring your children with me when I go back to the old forest, I guess.
I mean, are we supposed to think that every tree is like old man something?
Yeah.
I mean,
apparently
they couldn't even come up with a new thing. Like old man Willow was taken, so they're like old man Ironwood.
It's like, why old man? It cheapens what Tolkien wrote by trying to throw their own twist on everything. So essentially they go back. The stranger is taking a bath. And as he's taking a bath, okay, so this is the weirdest line, I think, that I've seen in 12 episodes, or the weirdest series of I don't know where to go with it. It's weirder than the Lord of Pelargir, Arondir calling Theo the Lord of Pelargir. We hear Goldberry, and we hear Tom Bombadil singing right now. Okay.
Bashful now, Goldberry.
He says, "Don't be bashful now, Goldberry. When the nine shall fall," I think is what she just said.
I thought it's night.
Oh, when the night shall fall. Okay, sorry. Let's listen. Then the door will open. And he's all scared, like, "Whoa, who is that? There's a woman. I've got to get my undies, my tidy whities. Where are they? I've got to get dressed. There's a woman." Okay.
With your filthy robe.
And then he's cleaning his robe, and he asks him,
Clean your hands, wash your face.
let's get to it.
Join me by the fire.
Is somebody out there with you?
Is somebody out there with you, right? Well, we heard him. We heard her.
I
And-
thought I heard a woman.
Yeah. Okay.
Woman? What woman?
What?
Is no one else here with you?
But
You're here?
okay. What in the world, dude? What?
Okay,
What does that even mean?
This is them. Well, it's the continued corruption of a character from Tolkien. So Tom Bombadil's now furthermore now he's deceiving. He's either lying or deceiving Gandalf. Why?
Yeah.
Tom
Yeah, why?
Bombadil is the least deceitful creature out there. He's totally heart on his sleeve. Everything. He doesn't care to lie. He doesn't deceive. He would have told the truth. He would have said either, yeah, you heard Goldberry, you heard a memory of her, you heard, maybe he's got a Galadriel like thing where he's got a pool that can talk, and maybe she's back at the Withy window and he can hear her, and they can speak over it. I'm inventing things, right? Or maybe he's this is like some sort of psychological thriller. He's bipolar and he does a Goldberry voice.
Anything's possible in this show. Anything.
Who knows? But whatever the case, he's trying to gaslight.
Yes.
Not Gandalf.
This is why I'm so confused.
Into thinking that there was a woman there singing when there clearly was a woman singing, and he called her Goldberry. What's the point here? Like they're making Tom Bombadil deceitful. So that's the point. The point is they're ruining his character.
And Goldberry, okay, let's remember, Goldberry is the river woman's daughter. This river, I believe, is the Brandywine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So why would she be there at this point? Like, well, first of all, Tom Bombadil, we don't have any record of him, actually. He went on travels, but we don't have any record of his vacation home in Rhun. So just so confused. Like, I had to pause it for a second when I was trying to think about why... What is even the point of putting that in there at this point and making us like question? It's the old. I guess maybe it's
member berries. It's
member berries.
Literally member berries. Member Goldberry.
Oh,
remember? I remember Goldberry.
Okay, all right. So Goldberry, weirdest thing ever. I didn't get that at all. I think what's also funny is Tom Bombadil. His introduction.
All folk used to call me Bombadil. Tom Bombadil.
Da-na, 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 da-na.
So, but hold on. Which folk used to call you Bombadil? You pretend hack, because you're the only folk that called him Bombadil were the hobbits that lived around there. He had other names from the other people. So, but according to Rings of Power, there were no hobbits there. There's no hobbits there yet. They settle there when they go and settle the Shire on their way to the Shire. So there's no Withy Window people calling you Tom Bombadil. That's a lie.
All right, and let me correct myself. The Withy Window is a tributary of the Brandywine, and so the Withy Window is really the river, I guess, theoretically.
I don't know. I think I think it'd be the Brandywine and Withy Window's tributary, and that's where Goldberry's hanging out, is on the tributaries of the rivers. She's the river's daughter. So I don't think it's the Withy Window that's the river that she's a daughter of. I think it's the not the Anduin. Sorry, the Brandywine. But anyway, whatever. Who cares? This is the memberberry thing. This is trying to like create some sort of psychological mystery, I guess, or Bombadil deceiving him, playing tricks on him. I mean, this is, I guess, this is, you're going to assassinate a character in Tolkien's world. I guess this is the way you do it.
Yeah, and so then he comes in after being washed and starts asking who's Tom Bombadil. And he says, "This is their opportunity to actually maybe use what Tom Bombadil said." He just says, "I'm Tom Bombadil. I'm old. I'm the eldest, in fact." And so this is not how Tom Bombadil would have answered this question, by essentially giving the factual answer. Like, he's just like, "Oh, I'm old Tom. That's it. Like, I am me. That's all. Like, that's all I need to know." I am. That's right. Doesn't he say that actually in The Lord of the Rings?
He
says,
does. And yes, he says that, and he says, and then he references that he was the master of the forest. So Tom is the master. That's who he is.
Tom is the master. Here's the thing. The way I put it is like, Tom is way too aware. And you made this earlier, right? He's frivolous. Like, he doesn't care. And he's way too aware of everything going on in this. In fact, as we will learn, he then calls him Old Man Ironwood. So he's aware, like he gives him that name. And then we go into the wizard asks him, after going through this process, the wizard asks him to teach him magic. And I thought immediately, I'm like, oh, he should just say, oh, what's that? That's what the proper response would have been, in the same way that Galadriel says, oh, this magic, what you would term as magic. And I can't remember the phrase either. I just remember all these little bits and pieces. Sorry, guys, I didn't look it up. But magic is the true artistry of the natural world come to life, in a way, right? That magic is not something that elves would say is like a particular thing, in the same way that you and I would say magic is a particular thing.
Well, they would say it. They would just say that it's the word that men use.
Yes, that's what I mean, though, right?
The thing from the extension of power, like they believe in the extension of power through their own nature and the nature of things like artifacts, like the rings.
Well, yes. So magic is we use the term magic to describe something that is endemic to their nature, in the same way that Feanor, you could say, used magic to create the Silmarils that had the light in them, but it wasn't magic. It wasn't some sort of midi-chlorians that you can tap into in order to gain the power.
Well, even the midi-chlorians aren't magic. Magic is a word that's used to reference secret power that there's no origin for, where you just sort of, there's some ritualistic thing you can do to tap into it, but you don't really know how it works or anything like that. And that's not what magic is. You can't learn it. You can't be taught spells.
Right.
Or if you can, that's only evil. Like the sorcerer and the witch king are said to, the necromancer and the witch king are said to do spells. And there are spells. Sometimes the word spell is sometimes used, but it's I mean, Gandalf uses quite a few spells. He's got, but his use of those spells isn't something he could be like, let me give you 2 months of my time, Frodo, and then you can also know how to cast spells of opening. It's an extension of his power as a Maiar. What we call spells.
So essentially, Tom Bombadil, as we learn, is the Obi-Wan, is the mentor, for he knows of the Dark Wizard, who he also spent time with and went dark. He says to him. So the stranger asks him for a staff, and this is what Bombadil says to him: "A wizard's staff is like a name, Harry. It's yours to wield already if you prove yourself worthy of it." This is like Gringotts in Harry Potter, where the wand finds you.
Right.
So what they knew was Harry Potter, and they infused it here, I'm confident, into the Lord of the Rings, that it's the staff that will find you, Harry, not you that finds the staff. It's like a name. It's yours to wield already. You just don't know it yet, because it will find you when the time is right.
Yeah, it's a combination of like Eastern philosophy, mysticism, psychobabble crap. Yes, it was also in Harry Potter. I mean, it's like, are you in the universe, or is the universe in you?
Yeah, but I mean, do you really think these people researched Eastern mysticism? No, they read Harry Potter and threw it.
No, it's pop culture Eastern mysticism. It's not real.
So then he just Tom Bombadil here is narrative voice number one in the scene, where he just tells him everything that's going on. He's like, what am I supposed to do? Oh, well, you're supposed to fight against the Dark Wizard and the Sauron, and we can't let them come together, because if you let them come together, the conflagration of the dumpster fire that will create here in Middle-earth will be huge. So is it my task to face Sauron? He's like, no, it's your task to take on both of them. It's like, well,
right.
How do you know all this? Like, what is it? And why, Tom, why are you now not the Tom that we know ever, or that Tolkien wrote ever, and you've become the mentor, the Obi-Wan of the desert? It's so stupid. It's like, the more things that happen. He's a hermit like Obi-Wan in the desert, and he's here to teach young Padawan Luke Skywalker, who's not had the word Padawan in the original Star Wars, but to teach him his magic, his Force usage, in order to take on Darth Vader and the Emperor, aka the Dark Wizard and Sauron.
That's right. You're right. That's it. And I think what they're trying to do is, they're creating some parallels where Adar, Sauron has been shown he likes having a number 2 working for him in Rings of Power, so he has Adar.
That's because Michael. That's because a Sith can only have one apprentice.
That's right. You're probably right. Actually, that's probably where they got it from. But they've ported it in, so now his apprentice was Adar, and then Adar turned against him, and so then he tried to get a new apprentice in Galadriel.
Yeah,
and then Galadriel didn't bite, almost, but she didn't. I mean, she bites everybody else.
I didn't catch this. You're right. Oh no!
And now he's going to find the Dark Wizard, and the Dark Wizard's going to be his apprentice, and he's going to become the Witch King. My instantaneous instinct from the first moment that I saw the first trailer here, which I swear to you, I did not hear anybody else about it. I saw the trailer. Watched it with you. My first instinct was Witch King.
Now, if he's the Witch King, what that means is it's an Istar becoming a Witch King. It is a Maiar becoming the Witch King, because Tom Bombadil says he is an Istar, right? He is a wizard. He is ultimately to have to be a blue wizard based on what we know, even though that doesn't hold.
But it's all wrong, right? Like
that's what I mean. It's all wrong.
They could be inventing Ishtar that came before. They definitely came before, because the Dark Wizard has come to Middle-earth. He's wandered to Rhun. He's been taught by Tom Bombadil. He left Tom Bombadil. He conquered part of Rhun. He established himself as a major power in Rhun, and he's now seeking to conquer more. We're talking a long period of time here. So this wasn't like last week that this happened.
Yeah.
Dark Wizard's been around a while. And so that means that the Ishtar weren't sent together as they really were in Tolkien's lore. Yeah. They're just doing like, I'm an Ishtar and I was sent first and I corrupted, and then Gandalf's an Ishtar and I'm gonna find him and do something, and I'm gonna go like, and the fact that the Dark Wizard's gonna what is he gonna do about Gandalf and Tom Bombadil? If Tom Bombadil, I'm presuming they're actually gonna they're showing Tom Bombadil as master of his surrounding, so he literally transmutes paper into bread. And he has full power over the breezes themselves in his surrounds. So there's no way the Dark Wizard is going to go overpower him inside of his hut. Okay, so I don't know what they're going to do with Dark. I guess we'll find out. But
stop thinking so hard.
But really, as we mentioned when we first saw the trailer, and we now see in its full dark glory, Tom Bombadil has completed his transformation into the busybody of Middle-earth. He's now the opposite of what he is in the books. In the books, he's frivolous. He doesn't care. He's carefree in his own realm. He's master of his own realm, and he doesn't have concern for people outside of it. He's the ultimately unconcerned. Like, you can't even tempt him to being concerned. If you're like, here's the one ring. If Sauron gets this, we're all dead, including you. Hold on to it. And Elrond's like, nope. If we do that, we're done. He'll forget about it. So he can't even be bothered on the biggest, greatest things. And here he's like, I'm going to teach you, and it's your responsibility. And if you don't do this, it's all Middle-earth is dead.
Oh man, he does. Yeah, I saw somebody. So I watched another person review this who's a Tolkien fan who is not on the same purist level. They're a Tolkien pursuer. As long as somebody pursues Tolkien, it's totally fine.
Sure.
They're like, it's about I don't know, 50% too much involvement into stuff. It's 50% more involved Bombadil than before. I'm like, what does that even mean? You're just trying to get around the fact that you can't you want to say Tom Bombadil's way too.
You're saying he's only 50% involved because he's not willing to go out and do it himself. But I'm talking about his interaction with the people. Like, he's literally become the old wise mentor who's going to put Gandalf Obi-Wan, on the path. Yeah. He's Obi-Wan, that's right. He's going to put Gandalf on the path, going to put Luke Skywalker on the path to defeating the Dark Lord.
Right, which is something that he would never do. He would just forget about them. It's like, oh, guys, what are you still doing here? Do you want some butter? I got some lilies. Bread?
Right, exactly. Right. By the way, lilies in Rhun?
Because he says the exact statement that he makes is,
I know.
Old Tom's a wanderer, not a warrior, and I shall gather lilies yet while they grow. While yet they grow. Hey,
but dude, they don't grow. You're in Rhun. There are no lilies here.
It's like, stupid. So tone deaf.
Everything's so stupid.
Oh, and so how do we know? Let's get back to this point. How do we know that it's Gandalf? Well, two things. One, The Harfoots call him Grand Elf at one point. I'm like, that's a little on the nose. Grand Elf, Gandalf. It's kind of right there. 2, we learn the name Gand.
They're not Harfoots. They're Stoors.
Sewers and
They're sewers.
They're sewers. The sewers and the DLSs. There it is, Michael. You strike again. I like it. All right. The sewers realize he's a Grand Elf, a Gandalf. And then we find the word Gand means wand. Or sorry, yes, I believe that it means wand in one language. I can't remember where it was. I looked up. I didn't take that note. And so Gand. So they're just like
he's a wand elf.
This is as he's a wand elf. Yeah, he's a wandering wand elf with a Grand Elf staff. It's so bad. This is the least worst kept secret in the world since Halbrand was Sauron. This is like it's so obvious now that they're gonna do that. In the same way that we have to leave Tom Bombadil now. And we head back to the sewers and the DLSs, who are still held captive.
And by the way, we have here the best line of this entire episode, because I didn't write down the exact words, but basically it was Nori, and she was saying, "Yeah, I think Sadok would have done this too." Basically, they're criticized. So we're being criticized, they're unhappy. We find out that the sewers, what they do is they're going to put them out to die. They're going to put Nori, Poppy, and now their own Merrimack. They're going to put them out to die of exposure out in the wilderness because why?
Because they're sewer elves. Because they don't care about the people. No, remind me, this isn't that important to me, Michael.
Well, but this is my point. You don't remember because they never make it clear.
Because
they broke the fourth rule.
Because no, you know why? I remember why. Because they said wizard. That was the whole reason. Because they said wizard, dark wizard. Oh, there's a dark wizard, and we don't do anything with him. However,
right. So now we're going to put you out to die, but we're also going to put our own person out to die. Like it's literally no reason to put Merrimack out to die. He didn't. It's them that know the dark wizard. He doesn't know the dark wizard. He doesn't know Grand Elf.
I think they would probably say like, well, he brought them there, and they didn't follow the rules, and they looked her in the eye. Like it's all very,
which is perfect. Like this is all DLS behavior, right? Mm-hmm. Because they're like random rules, and if we don't follow them, we will leave you to die, and then we'll mock you about it.
Yeah.
And
these are the worst. These are the worst. They take these characters that we loved and they make them into, as you said many, many times, sociopaths. They have no moral compunction to do the worst to people. Just like the Ents had people cages and then stuck them in there. Just like Gil-galad was ready to go elf on elf against Elrond, right? They have no compunction to actually do the right thing. So the same thing here. So she says the name Sadok Burrows, and she's like, sewer elf said, I don't know, leader sewer elf. I have no idea who her name is. It never occurred to me to think about it. She says, Burrows? Oh my, Burrows? No, Burrows? And takes her to this cave painting.
And you had some funny things to say about this one. This
cave painting. So here's the idea. The name Burrows was the name of Rory Mac Burrows, she says, who decided to go on a journey because there was a place called the Suzat. And I'll tell you what that means here in a minute if you didn't catch it. The Suzat is a home of where they can, what did they say? Dig a home in a hole in 2 days, something like that. Opposed to in a day. Was it a day? So this guy, this Rory Mac Burrows, again, I think Rory Mac was the name of Frodo's adopted parents, father. I can't remember. It's something to have to do with Frodo. So before going on this journey, he says, okay, oh my gosh, did I just do it? Is that really what this is? Guys, is this the party tree right here? Like, look at this big tree. So he left a painting. He had a vision, apparently. And in ancient times, now let's remember, ancient times are, I don't know, 30 years ago, maybe. How long is ancient times? We don't know. It could be 1,000 years. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say it's only like 300 or 400 years. So he left this painting. Before he left, he's like, I'm gonna draw this big old painting. It's It's my masterpiece, my mood board that I come forward. I don't know. And so there's a river that we're going to go to, and there's going to be a big tree there, and apparently that's the Shire. So why do I think that's the Shire? Well, the word Suzat, Suzat, in Westron, which is the language the men speak, means Shire, guys. They took the language of the big people and stuck it here on the sewer hobbits to make them into to essentially say, okay, by the time this show ends, the sewers and the DLSs are going to get together and go to the Shire. That's the whole, like, this is the most unsurprising end to the entire tale. They're going to settle the Shire at the end of episode 5, and they're probably going to throw in some things. Episode 5, sorry, season 5. They're going to throw in some more stupid member berries from. No, sorry, the member berries are stupid. The original things aren't stupid, because the whole point is for them to get together and to keep wandering. And what we also learn is that map is apparently a representation of the Wandering Song.
Yep.
They've been wandering for how many years, and they didn't take the extra couple of days in order to go in this direction. I mean, maybe the tornado blew them a couple hundred miles in a particular place. I don't know. But they're awfully close together still. So in all their wandering over 100
it couldn't have been that far, because remember, at the end, the lepers of the desert show up. 2 of them just wander in.
That's right. The greatest trackers in all Middle-earth.
They can't catch them. There are a couple of hobbits like out in the desert, and the hobbits escape by like jumping off of a ridge, like a 10-foot ridge, and all of a sudden the trackers can't find them ananymore.
So there's the tracker.
But then later on they do find them, and they just wander up. Here's the trackers,
and they just clock her. They just hit her, and everyone's like, "Oh my goodness, how could you do that?"
By the way, how do the trackers know about this place? They're supposed to be hidden.
Stop thinking, Michael.
Also, I need to say this. When it's this lady, this ruler, one of the rules is don't call her the Gund. So I'm going to call her the Gund the whole time.
The Gund. Okay.
So the Gund is apparently all-knowing, because as soon as the Nori and Poppy wander into her village, she automatically knows instantly that they were being tracked by the lepers of the desert. That's because she says, did you bring those men that have been tracking you? How does she know that? Like, are there Hobbit scouts reporting back to her?
Well,
if there are Hobbit scouts reporting back to her,
Mary Mac could have said something.
No, he didn't. But he was with them, and he walked up.
Yeah, and the scene that they wrote that they didn't put in, he said it to her.
Oh, right. That scene. That scene. But if they were tracking these men, and then she would has these vast Hobbit scouts that can keep tabs on the men, then how did these 2 men just walk into their village without her knowing about it? I mean, everything makes no sense.
It was dark, dude. It's hard to see in the dark. It's the eyes don't adjust that well when there's ambient light on your set. It's very difficult. Right. But here's what I love: these greatest trackers in the desert. They're like, where are the other halflings? We saw them. Where are they? Why aren't they here? Like, they're here. No. She's like, no, they're not here. They're like, oh, okay. And they turn around and leave. They don't do anything. They're just like, we saw them. Have you seen them? They're like you're a leave no prisoners kind of people. We're led to believe.
Why aren't you slaying all the sewers? Why didn't you leave them instructions for what to do if they find these? Why didn't you offer them a reward? Why didn't you do something semi-believable for anyone with more than an 8-year-old mental structure about what should happen next?
Yeah. And let's not forget that what should happen next is they should excise this entire storyline from the show. It has done absolutely nothing. You could take Gandalf landing in his meteor to discovering Tom Bombadil, and nothing would change for the story. Nothing. Yep. It could have happened in one episode, right? It would have made more sense instead of befriending all the hobbits, although you'll say like, oh, this is why Gandalf likes the hobbits. So they're going to be calling back to the whole idea, why does Gandalf go to the Shire? Because he helps lead them there. And maybe, okay, Tom Bombadil is also going to lead them there. Let's be honest, just realize that. That's why he's there. So they're going to make the big trek over into the Shire. And along the way, they will say the phrase, even the smallest person can change the course of the world or the course of history. You know that's going to happen because they have to perform some great deed in this story. I mean, you would think.
But along the way, as they're going, they're also going to, some of the sewers will be left behind. They'll stay behind. Some will be left behind and they'll die. But then some of them will stay behind at the river, led by a hobbit called Steagle, because
maybe it's Stevel.
That's right, Steve-O the Hobbit. Steve, the sewer, and then that's
yeah, and so he's going to transplant Old Man Ironwood into Old Man Willow. I know what's going to happen. Maybe the angry Ents we saw in the last episode will create the old forest. They'll herd some horns there, and then leave to find their other Ents. And not.
They won't do that. That's stupid as that is. That's more creative than they have the talent for.
Sorry, I know.
Yeah.
So that's where we end Rhun with Gandalf and Bombadil together. Bombadil is now the Obi-Wan of Middle-earth with the sewers and the DLSs. In their Disney stone homes that are easily discovered by trackers and have absolutely nothing to do with this, should have been killed off multiple times. And then bad guy Dark Wizard, who has no name as well, because heaven forfend we actually give names to the wizard.
First name Dark, last name Wizard.
the old DW there in Rhun, guys. Have you heard of DW? You mean Darkwing Duck? No, we mean the Dark Wizard. The Dark Wizard in Rhun. It's so bad. It's so. I just need, like we said in an earlier episode, I just need a big light. A big light in front of me and create a little shadow, and then watch this episode as if it's Mystery Science Theater 3000, because that's the way we can actually.
You know what we should do?
Enjoy it.
We should. If we can make it work at some point in the future, we should have an MST3K themed episode where it's just the back of the head of you and Dan and I sitting watching an episode of the Rings of Power, and we just do cuts,
like doing like the clips of the Rings of Power. Man, if that would be great. I know we're all going to be in LA at some point, me seeing family. Dan lives there and Michael's heading back because of his job, but we're going to have to try and figure out how to get us all together. If you guys are new to us, Dan was one of our original co-hosts. He's the one of the producers at the Babylon Bee. He does all the podcasts and everything like that. So
senior producer.
Yeah. So wow, thanks for sticking through this with us. This show is so much fun when we get to review it, Michael. I smile upon the hour of our day to do it, and I frown on the hour I have to watch it, because I do, man. Okay, guys, I have like 3 pages of notes just going through this, going like, what? Hey, what? Who's this? What? Why? And but talking about it is a lot of fun. So thanks for sticking with us, guys. These episodes will continue to be long. We split this one up into 3 parts because we thought, man, we want to give you guys a mental break from watching.
No one in their right mind would sit through 2 hours of this.
Yeah. So thanks for joining with us. If you want to become a member at theonering.com/member, it's $4 a month. First month is free. Or go to theonering.com/Patreon. You'll get our extended podcast, which is probably on hiatus for about a week right now. But you will get access to our Discord chat. Helps us keep doing this sort of stuff. I'm going to be in LA. I'll be taking my older laptop, so I'm hoping that when we record those episodes, we can make it work, and I can do all the editing on that. I need a new laptop at some point, some forth here. I've got a nice desktop that works. But anyway, so it takes energy and resources in order to do this. We want to get Michael a new mic soon too. We do this for the love of it. We've been doing it for 25 years. TheOnering.com was published in April of 1999. Wow. So we've been at it a long time, and we'll continue to do it. So we've got a lot of stuff a lot of stuff to look forward to, and we're glad you're along for the ride, even if you're a
freeloader. Goodbye.